everybody! Welcome to part 1 of Geoffrey of Monmouth's History of the Kings of Britain, summarized by a rabbit. Once upon a time in the 12th century, this dude by the superhero pseudonym Geoffrey of Monmouth received funding from his Patreon patrons, who are all church dudes and Norman kings, to write the most epic tale of British pseudo-history. So, he grabbed the 𝐾𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐜, some Celtic folklore and myths, the 𝐻𝑖𝑠𝑡𝑜𝑟𝑦, Nennius's 𝐻istoria Brittonum, some bardic tales, and some Welsh king lists, and set to he was given an ancient and mysterious, historically accurate Welsh manuscript from Walter, Archdeacon of Oxford, which he was tasked with translating into Latin. The book begins by discussing how freaking awesome the British Isles are. Holy shit! Best place to start in Sid Meier's civilization, apparently. This magical land is inhabited by elves, dwarves, hobbits. Oh, sorry, wrong book. It's inhabited by the Normans, the French, the Britons, the Saxons, and the Picts and the Scots. But the Britons, the chosen ones, apparently pissed off God at some point. Easy to do. So, in typical angry daddy fashion, he set up the Picts and the Saxons to attempt a genocide or two. That'll learn them. And that is why Britain is the way it currently is. The point of this book, Geoffrey states, is to share the history of how this came about. We're in for quite a ride, y'all! Now, we go back thousands of years to just after the fall of Troy. Doodly-doo, 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 doodly-doo. 𝐾𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐜, yes, cousin of Hector, hero of Troy, and son of Aphrodite and 𝐻𝑖𝑠𝑡𝑜𝑟𝑦, sets out with his son Ascanius to Italy. There they win the favor of King Latinus, but the ire of King Turnus of the Ruteni. So, 𝐾𝐞𝐥𝑢𝐜 engages in ancient world conflict resolution, i.e., unalive the dude what don't like you. For his troubles, he seizes all of Italy and King Latinus' daughter Lavinia, because honorable duels earns you a country and a waifu in this time period. Every MGTOW's wet dream. When 𝐾𝐞𝐥𝑢𝐜 eventually passes, his son Ascanius is elected king of Italy. Elected. That's funny. His claim to fame is founding the town of Alba and having a son by the name of Silvius, who apparently had an affair with one of Lavinia's nieces. Aw yeah, keeping it in the fam, yo! As soon as Ascanius finds out, he's like, oh, brother. Well, gotta do the responsible thing. Contact the soothsayers and make sure the kid she has is gonna be a boy. Like you do. So the soothsayers cast the bones or whatever, and it turns out that not only is the incest baby gonna be a boy, he's gonna be really awesome! His name will be Brutus, he'll kill both of his parents by the time he's 15, and after exile, he'll become the most epic dude of his time. You know, by the ancient world barometer. And it comes to pass. His mom dies in childbirth, and his father dies while hunting with Brutus due to a tragic disability which causes Brutus to conflate humans and animals. So, exiled as prophesized, Brutus wanders into Greece. There, he meets the descendants of Helenus, Priam's son, and many Trojans who were captured by the descendant of Achilles, Pyrrhus, who has the king of the Greeks, Pandrosus, keep them enslaved for the funsies. Brutus doesn't like this. If anyone's gonna have slaves, it's gonna be him. He works together with the Trojans, who just love him to bits, as well as this turncoat Greek noble by the name of Assaracus, who, being the son of a Trojan mother, was reviled by the Greeks and his fam, his brother in particular. Assaracus' bro calls him the son of a and fully intends to take the 3 castles meant to go to him and his father's will. Brutus sees the chance to set his destiny in motion. Armed with 7,000 Trojan slaves, 1 pissed-off Greek noble, and 3 fortified castles, Brutus begins the machinating by moving into the woods and sending an angry text to the king of the Greeks. It's a bit long, but simply summarized states, "Leave the Trojans alone! Please!"
King Pandrasus leads an army to deal with these upstart slaves, butthurt noble, and bizarrely organized and charismatic squatter. But Brutus, having thought ahead and gained intel on this little attack attempt, takes 3,000 of his dudes and performs a jungle gank on Pandrasus, causing the Greeks to panic and flee all about, just to be stabbed that much harder by the Trojans. Pandrasus' brother Antigonus tries to reinforce his bro, but is also failed by the never had combat experience, recently enslaved their entire lives Trojans. I'm guessing we must have missed the 80s style montage where Brutus trains them up. Anyways, Antigonus and his bud Anacletus are captured. After everything is said and done, Brutus leaves 600 dudes to garrison the castle and bounces to the woods to chill with his homies and newfound prisoners. Pandrasus, feeling guilt over the major ownage he just experienced, which resulted in the capture of his brother, reorganizes his forces and sets out to recapture the castle, assuming that Brutus was there waiting for him and not in some hippie commune, getting high and making friendship bracelets or some shit. The Greeks attack mercilessly until nightfall, causing the distressed garrison soldiers to send word to Brutus, who isn't too fussed to help them immediately because the element of surprise isn't at hand. See, Brutus is an assassin class, and if you play your assassin by jumping headfirst into battle, you're doing it wrong. He knows that the fortress is on high alert with guards and sentries and stuff. So, instead of rushing in like some basic bruiser, he grabs Anacletus, points a stabbing implement into his face, and shares with him his master plan.
My fine young friend, unless you agree faithfully to what I propose and carry out what I order you to do, this is the end of your life, and that of Antigonus too. Go to the besiegers in the second hour of the night and allay their suspicion by lying to them. Say that you have freed Antigonus from where I held him prisoner. Take him to a valley in the woods and hid him there among the bushes. Pretend that he is unable to go any further because of the chains which he is shackled. Then lead them to the edge of the glade, as if they are going to free him. I shall be there with a band of armed men, ready to kill them.
Anacletus, like most humans, is afraid of being stabbed, so he agrees on the condition that Brutus let him and Antigonus live, to which Brutus gives him a little wink. When Anacletus arrives before the sentinels, they, understandably, suspect that something is up. "You're not working with the enemy, are you?" To which Anacletus, utilizing his degree in drama, responds, "No! No! Of course not!" This convinces the guards, who agree that everything checks out. So they all go with Anacletus. Yeah, and, well, I'm sure you can figure out what happens next. Brutus then organizes his troops into 3 divisions and has them occupy different areas of the Greek camp and to wait on standby until Brutus can infiltrate the king's quarters, at which point he'll blow his little horn and the Trojans can begin the nighttime stab fest. Yay! Stab party! And so, things play out exactly as planned, with Brutus working his BDSM magics on Pandrasus, and his Trojan troops playing stabby pokey with the sleeping Greek soldiers. When morning arrives, Brutus was beside himself with joy. When all the enemy had been slaughtered, He allowed his own men to deal as they wished with the spoils of those they had destroyed. What a bruh. He then re-garrisoned, is that a word? The fortress, ordered the dead to be buried, and headed back out to his hippie commune in the woods with his newfound swag. All the Trojans are giddy at the idea of extorting the Greek king Pandrasus, but they're not very good at this. They argue over a bunch of dumb ideas like a pony or a Porsche, until this one smart guy by the name of Membritius, points out that if they stick around, the Greeks will inevitably seek revenge on them at some point. Instead, they should take Pandrasus' daughter, Eggnog? Ask for some bling to take with her, as well as some boats and food and whatnot, and set sail for new lands. They agree, although Gregotus was really sad about the pony. Then they reconvene to threaten the king's life unless he bows to their demands. All things considered, the king is pretty chill about the whole ordeal. He agrees pretty readily, accepting his fate. Hell, he's even jazzed about his new son-in-law.
I take some comfort in the knowledge that I'm about to give my daughter to a young man of such great prowess. The nobility which flourishes in him, and his fame, which is well known to us, show him to be of the true race of Priam and Anchises. Who other but he could have freed from their chains the exiles of Troy when they were enslaved by so many mighty princes? Who other but he could have led them in their resistance to the king of the Greeks?
Blah, blah, blah. This petting speech goes on. Anyways, you get the point. Pandrasus is so sweet on Brutus, he even offers to remain as a hostage until the Trojans get all their goodies. Gosh, it's almost like this was written from the perspective of the Britons or something. Once handed over, 𝐾𝐞𝐥𝐢𝐜 spends the majority of her time crying and passing out because horrible trauma! I'm being forcefully taken away from my homeland by the individual who just went on a bloodbender against us all! But it's okay, because Brutus is all kissy-kissy, lovey-lovey sweet on her. Aww! Now begins the epic journey to find some prime real estate. But that will have to wait until next episode. Stay tuned for Geoffrey of Monmouth and the History of the Kings of Britain, Part 2. Bye-bye! Special thanks to Jalen Akers and Bradley Gareth for providing additional voices. And of course, thanks be to mine patrons. Of the legendary lagomorphs, there's Malign Man and Arturi Dre. Of the Regal Rabbits, I Have a Name and Heather Raindrop. And last but not least, the Bunbys.